All right, what is up? Welcome to Spoiler Kings. My name is Tim Kramer. I'm with Alfredo Panda from the Panda and Grizzly Show
How you
over
doing?
on the Nerd Huddle.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
good. So we're doing another one of our Oscar movies. This week, this episode is all about Drive My Car, which is
Yes.
the only Japanese film to be not
Mm,
or that's nominated this year. I don't know about ever, but
mm,
uh, yeah.
what do you,
Trying to think.
what,
Huh.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was trying to think. I'm like, is there another Japanese film? I know, like, there was the Roma was based in Mexico, uh, which
Oh, you
was
mean,
also named. I'm thinking like ever, to be Best Picture nominated.
hmm,
Was it Parasite was Korean,
right.
and this one is Japanese. So you know, they're definitely getting that international kind of movies
Yeah.
in there past couple of years. But
Oops.
oh, you good?
Damn it. I can't spell. I got it.
Oh.
I got it.
Oh.
Japanese movie. What was it? Nominees? Oscar
uh
nominees, I should put.
Oscar.
Uh, I think,
Want to say, yeah.
yeah, I think so. I put that, and next, just that's the first one that popped up. Well,
Yeah,
cool.
it's the first Japanese film ever to be nominated.
Yeah, look at that.
So yeah, so Drive My Car is the first Japanese film ever to be nominated for Best Picture. So that's kind of awesome.
It's a long
So
picture.
yeah, yeah. So I know we already talked about Nightmare Alley, which was 2.5 hours, and I know you said that was pretty long. This one was 3 hours,
I know.
and well, man, man, you felt every second of it at
Yep.
certain points. Other points I was very invested. Like I
Mhm.
was just like staring at my screen. I'm like, what? But yeah, yeah. You want to go first? You want to talk about some of the
Yeah.
good stuff or the
The
bad
good
stuff?
s
Whatever you want to start.
the good stuff is, you fall for this character, Mr. Foku, I think his name was,
Yeah.
and, because, you feel for him, with the things that he saw, he hears, and he's going through life, and, you kinda like this guy. Um, the driver, the female driver, I don't think they even said her name.
Yeah.
Um,
Miss Misaki Watara. Yeah,
yeah,
they said her
okay.
name like once. I remember the Misaki because it's like a Attack on Titan character. It's
Mhm.
similar.
I heard I got that too. But, yeah, I mean, 0 expression. Like, you want a strong poker face, this is the chick you want on your side. It was amazing how no laugh, no smirk, no cry, no yelling, just flatline. Like, I
Hmm.
think she was a corpse half during the whole course of the movie. The scenery is pretty nice. I like the scenery. It wasn't much. It was a lot of indoor hotel stuff, but when they showed the outside, it was pretty nice. I kind of liked it. I'm like, oh wow, I wouldn't mind going there to chill and hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Japan is gorgeous, man. I watch a lot of vloggers that live in Japan, and
yeah,
it is gorgeous.
yeah, that's cool. I mean, like I said, um, I never been there, so I can't say. But all I know is it was pretty good. I kind of liked it. What about you,
Yeah.
man?
Yeah, I thought Masaki, the driver, she was like you said, very, very, and it was on purpose. It wasn't like, like it was like, like that's kind of her character. She went through some trauma and kind of
Yeah. Mm.
dealt with it, and it was very much like the main character, the actor, Mr.
Let
Kofu
me look up.
Kofu.
Yeah.
It's like Kafuku, Kofuko,
Mhm.
something like that. I'm sorry, I'm murdering his name, but the actor, he he was kind of the same, in the beginning, he's I don't want to ruin too much of it, but he saw things and reacted to things that I think most people won't. Um, won't act that way, very like, level, like very just,
Calm,
no, yeah, very
collected.
calm. Even at points where I think most people would have like lost their crap,
All that sort of shit. Yeah, I
Yeah,
lost my shit
yeah,
like 4 or 5 times during the movie. I'm like, okay, now tell him. No,
yeah,
okay, now. Okay, no, not yet. All right, cool. Okay,
yeah,
wait to the car in the back of an alley. Now tell him. Nope. Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. That was really interesting. He was very smart. I mean, but they kind of tell you why he was that way, which
Yeah,
is kind of interesting. But there was
yeah.
a part where he, towards the end, when the big part where him and the driver kind of hang out and tell their stories of trauma.
Yeah,
He definitely breaks down, which is good for him, but also like
he needed
a
to let
little too
that off.
late. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but and he even admits it, it was too late to do what he should have done, which is kind
mm,
of interesting. But
right.
yeah, I mean, and then the other actor, which I don't see his name, uh the guy that winds up working for him, uh
Yoon
Cole,
Sun, I think
there's
that his character was he's supposed to play in the acting. That character is Yoon Sa, something like that.
something like that.
Yoon apostrophe sa.
Yeah, yeah. But he was like a younger man, and he was becoming this role that the other guy was, and he couldn't play it anymore, so he became the director. So he was like this new one, and he was the younger version of him, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, they have a connection. I don't want to spoil too much of it if you do plan on watching it. Maybe we'll talk spoilers at the end.
Mhm.
Um, but they had a connection, and it was very weird, but he was the opposite, the very like where Kofoko was very calm and collective. Like this guy was kind of a hothead, like some
Mhm.
guy was taking pictures and without even blinking gets up and like delete it and then start shoving them and stuff, and that plays a big part later. So it's like what this dude saw was way worse, and you're getting mad at some guy taking a picture of you. You know what I mean? It was like so. I thought that was like interesting, and it kind of like
It
when
was very interesting
yeah,
because I immediately I thought I'm like, is this guy mental or does he have short fuse? Is he wanted or something like that that he doesn't want people to know that he's there? I
that's what
mean,
I thought.
he threw me a lot of loop. I'm like, what the hell, dude? He's a fan or they're a fan
Yeah,
because it wasn't just one person. It was what like 2 or 3 people taking pictures of him, and he got pissed off. You know, so it was odd how he was reacting to that. You know, so it was weird. Um, there was a bond connection between the two, which is great. I guess it was like the old teaching the new. You know what I'm saying? But he
yeah,
wasn't.
it-
I don't know. It was seemed that way, but it didn't really connect that way. The attempt was there.
yeah. I mean, well, there was a big issue in between them that
Mm,
we'll get into later that was probably blocking that connection that you're saying. Like the teacher student kind of thing, because there
yeah.
was another layer to their relationship. Um, but I thought the acting was good. Um, it was had a lot of deep meaning in some parts,
Yeah, there was
very,
actually.
metaphorical kind of stuff, very literal, as well. I mean, there's a woman in the play, in the play was
She was
uh
deaf.
she was not deaf because she was able to hear. She was mute. She couldn't speak.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember because I'm like no, because she was able to hear. But so she did a Korean sign language. So,
Mm,
and that was another thing with the play too. It was kind of weird. Was you had like some Japanese people, some or Japanese woman or Japanese guy, a woman that was from Taiwan but spoke Mandarin and English and didn't speak any Japanese, and
right.
then and then a woman from Korean that was mute and spoke Korean sign language. So
Mhm.
it was a very weird group of people, like from different cultures, that were like coming together for this play that he was directing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was awesome though. I love how they incorporated all that, and there was no border, no boundaries. It's like if you can do the role, you can do the role. Period.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what I liked about it. That's what I really really enjoyed. That he gave everyone a shot. Really, he gave him a chance, and okay, it worked. Not a problem.
yeah,
No issues.
yeah, yeah.
It was
But
good. I liked it.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of any like really good stuff without like getting too much of it. The story itself was pretty good.
Yeah. I I I got
Without getting into
lost at times. I had to,
yeah,
like, "Wait, what? Wait,
yeah.
what did I miss? Did I blink? Did I doze off?" I mean, it
I
is a
think it's
3-hour damn movie.
yeah, yeah. And also it's in Japanese, so it's all subtitled. So if you did
Yeah.
miss a part, it's the context is sometimes harder to pick up when you're reading and you're trying to
Mhm,
get their body language as well.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, there's that part of it, but yeah, the story itself was pretty interesting. Um,
Yeah.
it
I
wasn't an action movie or it wasn't like
No.
like a big drama movie. I was expecting like a big like drama, and it was a drama, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? I don't
It
know
wasn't a
if you.
nail biter. There were times that I think that he was gonna expose him, but he didn't, and,
Yeah,
it was I don't know, it was like you were waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, there it is. This is how it's
yeah,
gonna all go down." But the shit never dropped, and it was odd. I don't get me wrong. I like the subtitles was fine, but the expressions when they were talking and in transition, going back and forth, that was fine. It was just the fact that it was long, and if I turn my head and I miss a sentence, it's like, shh, what happened? You know,
yeah,
that was the only downfall I kind of see in that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
well, there was more
but
downfalls than that, but yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, speaking of like, we can go right into the bad stuff. There's not too much without spoiling, some of the good stuff, but yeah.
After a
What about
while, after a while, maybe 20 minutes in, I began to notice there's a lot of car scenes, a lot of road scenes, a lot of different angles of a car, different angles of a building where you see the car passing by. I'm like, okay, you probably got 20 minutes of footage of just scenery, which you could cut out, really. It had nothing to do with the storyline. You could probably put maybe 2 minutes of scenery max and still be captivating, still have me entertained and engaged with it.
Mhm.
It was difficult for me because I'm like, here we go. Okay. Here's another 2 minutes of just a car going through a tunnel, car coming out of a tunnel, showing in a tunnel, coming out of a tunnel again.
Yeah,
I'm like, ooh, is this Tokyo Drift? Is this, Ridge Racing? What the hell? But no, it really wasn't. And fun fact, I almost bought that type of car not too long ago.
the was it
The
the
Saab
Saab?
Turbo.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
almost bought
That's a
that
nice
one.
car.
It is. It really is.
It's a cool car. Um, but yeah, I'm right there with you. It was a lot of parts where no one was talking, and it was just like you said, driving. Which I get transitions. I get transition where you have to kind of explain to the audience like, hey, they're here and they're going to here. I get that. It doesn't need to last 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so there were a lot of parts that were kind of like drawn out. Um, like I think so the whole beginning sequence is about 40 minutes long. And I think we talked about it after or like in between a show, like off air.
Yes.
And I know you said that it was about 40 minutes until you start getting
The credits, the
yeah, the
beginning,
title credits.
yeah. No,
40 minutes in.
I'm like, we
And
just
then
saw a story, and then now here's another story. Like,
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
going on?
And I don't, like I said, I don't mind stuff like that. You know, like video games is pretty notorious for doing stuff like that, where you're like you're 2 hours in and then it's the title card.
Yeah, Assassin's
You know,
Creed is
yeah,
really good for
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So stuff like that, but also like after watching it, it was like that whole beginning scene, like sequence for 40 minutes, probably didn't need to be there. Everything that
Mm,
happened could have been summed up pretty quick, and the details could have been filled in throughout the rest of the movie. You know what I mean? Because I mean, the big part of it,
yeah,
there's a big part of him and his wife. Something happens, or a few things happen, and I'm like, you could have narrowed that down a little bit, and then
yeah.
filled in little parts throughout. But
Little flashbacks.
yeah, you know, and I think that would have been okay rather than 40 minutes of
Yeah,
it. Because like you said, it was a story, and then 2 years later, now it's a whole nother story. I was like, what? What? I was like, I just
right.
feel like the director was like, no, we can't cut any of it.
Ah,
You know?
what's the guy from Justice League that he
Yeah, well,
redid?
Zack Snyder.
Yes, I'm like, yeah, it was best without it. I
Yeah.
agree. I
So
mean, I agree with that. Little flashbacks would have helped. It would have cut out 35 minutes of the movie, and yeah, there was a lot that really wasn't necessary. There was a lot that I agree with you. I never thought of the first 40 minutes, but I agree with you. They would have cut that out and maybe little flashbacks. Oh, I came home early and my flight was canceled and blah blah blah, and show a little black and white flashback or
yeah,
something artistic, black and white except for the people, or everything was colored except for the people was black and white. You know, something
yeah,
artistic like that to change it up. Um, yeah, the first 40 minutes, take away 40 minutes. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes now. That's
yeah,
manageable. That's doable.
yeah.
Add a 5 minutes for the little flashbacks. It won't be even that 5 minutes. It probably maybe 30 seconds in total of flashbacks.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like 2.5 hours for sure was, I thought was manageable for this. You could have probably got to about like you said, 220, 215 if you really
Right.
try to push it. 3 hours. Holy crap. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't mind long movies, but long movies for the sake of just being long because you don't want to cut anything, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know, kind of, I don't want to say lazy, but also like prideful. I think you're like, no,
Yeah.
everything I do is great and it must be seen.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
like
it's like the Avengers, Endgame and Civil War and whatever. Those are approximately 3 hours. Yes, there were some scenes that could have escaped. I mean, could have left out, but that those 3 hours kept me engaged due to the fact that it was just fighting and action. This is nothing but reading, and it drawn it out. Now I'm thinking if I understood their language, would I enjoyed it more? I don't know, maybe because then I could just listen to it instead of reading and then looking up to see what's actually going on. You know, um, yeah, it's really difficult for me, man.
yeah,
Really difficult.
yeah, yeah. I'm not too. I don't mind too much. Like I watch a lot of anime, you know, anyway, and I'm kind of used to that. But at least in anime, you know when to look up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like when somebody screams or when somebody makes a loud noise or something along those lines. So yeah, with this, everything was very monotone. Everything was very monotone. You know,
Yes.
and then I think they never gave you any cues when anything was like major was gonna happen, you know.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like that threw me off, you know, because usually with subtitles, you know when to like look up and like you can skip a sentence or so and see how they interact with each other. With this
Right.
one, it was very weird. Even with the big, for me, like the biggest part was the two guys in the back seat as they're driving, and they kind of tell each other, stories.
Yeah.
Um, that part was my favorite part, for sure. And the whole time I'm like reading and I'm looking at him, and it wasn't towards the end where I saw the one guy, the younger guy, was like water. His eyes were watery.
Yeah. He was
Like,
all
yeah,
tearing up. Yeah.
yeah, which is funny because the other guy, the older guy, should be the one crying. You know what I mean? So it was very like, but it was also that's who they were. You know, one guy was calm, and the other guy kind of like
Was
his emotions.
emotional.
You know,
Yeah.
so stuff like that. I'm like, that's important because you need to distinguish like who they are. You know what I mean,
Right.
and why things happen the way they happen.
I have a theory
Um,
behind that, by the way.
yeah. So here, you just want to get it right into spoilers and
Yeah,
just kind
sure.
of. So all right. So if you're watching right now, spoiler. So there are some big things that happen. I guess it happens in the first 40 minutes,
Mhm.
which is one of the things I didn't like. Like, so we're already in spoilers. He finds out he's cheating on his wife in the first 40 minutes. Why? Why did they do that? They should have kept that hidden, and you find that out later throughout the film.
Hmm.
I think that would have been more impactful.
It would have been, but oh, it's my headset.
Uh,
It just said battery low. I'm like,
uh,
who's that?
I heard it a little like
Oh, oh, you did hear it?
it sounded like a woman. Like
Yeah.
that.
Jesus, freaking woman scared the shit out of me. Okay, well, anyway, I really believe that they did that just to keep you hooked. And when he's gonna explain it, and when he's gonna say, "Hey, I saw you do this. I came home early that day," blah blah blah. But he did it, and now we know why. Now we didn't find out why to the very end. And and that's to keep the connection between him and whatever. Now at the car scene where we were just talking about, that guy, the husband, he was quiet, right? And the other guy was emotional. I'm thinking because during that story, he said when she becomes aroused and erratic, her story comes out, a screenplay and what have you, and she describes it very well. And then when it's done, what she's done, she gets foggy. He has to remember whatever she said, and that's how she took notes. Now the young guy slept with her. The husband knew this, not because in the apartment, but the husband knew this because he finished her story. And that's why he's emotional crying because, he said himself, he loved her. He really, Otto, I believe her name was.
Yeah,
He
the
loved her.
wife.
Right. And then that's why he was like emotional. The husband was upset. Well, not upset. The husband heard the last bit of the story because I'm like, wait a minute. If he knows the ending of this story, that means they had sex. That means they slept together. So that's why I see he wasn't really. He knew she did what she did just to cope with their loss of the daughter, but and try to keep the connection together.
Yeah,
At the same time, I felt that okay, he slept with her. That's why he got the rest of the story that I never heard of because she began the story with the husband, finished it with that kid.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why the husband wasn't emotional. I feel like he was more upset and pissed off knowing that he slept with his wife.
See, but I thought he knew from the beginning that
I thought
he knew that he
all he
had slept
saw
with
was
his wife.
right. I thought it was him too. All you saw was the back of the head. That's all you saw was the back of the head, not the face. So he could have been anybody. He could have been any of her students because remember she was teaching students or something like that.
Yeah, but I think you saw him at the funeral.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's the connection where I think he knew because like the husband like kind of like looked over and
Mhm.
like side eyed him and stuff like that. So I think that's why I wonder. I'm like, but he also knew it wasn't just him either. He knew it was a bunch of other dudes, which is kind
Oh yeah.
of even more fucked up. It's Jesus.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But I think there's a part in when he's telling her the rest of that story that the husband never got. He said something along the lines that he's like, I listened because I knew that this was important. And
Mhm.
I think he knew that that story was meant for the husband and she couldn't tell him that. So she told him and he knew that he's like, "Oh, this is for him," but she can't tell him because they have this weird not I won't say connect this weird I don't know. like idea of each other. You know, it was like
Yeah,
I can't upset him, I can't upset her because we both need each other and stuff like that because of the loss of their child.
right.
So it was like she couldn't tell the husband, but she told him, and he knew it was a metaphor for their marriage. You know, so I don't know. That was a very like that whole scene was like I thought so well done. Like in
Yeah.
the car, so you see like the lights zooming by.
Yep.
It was just it was really interesting, you know, because like especially the car was like place where the husband practices lines, but it was more of like a meditation, you know, and got to
Mhm.
remember his wife through the tape recordings. So,
Right. Right.
you know, so it was that whole that whole sequence was really cool. I mean, there I was like completely glued to the screen, you
So was
know,
I.
like
The same
every
spot.
single word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
but
was I. And kudos to the driver for keeping her mouth shut throughout the whole trip. You know, and I've Ubered, so I heard crazy shit back there.
yeah,
Crazy stuff. Like, I wish I would've had a recording, changed the names, and just wrote a book about it. Dude, I wouldn't this wall would be real wall, not this plastic stuff, you know? But, I mean, it was crazy how she just stayed quiet, gave her opinion, and they did they get together at the end of the movie?
I don't
Or
I
did
don't
she just
know.
become, like, a permanent driver?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask because well, before we get to the end real quick, they have a weird connection that they drive her back to her village and where her mom died, so they kind of blamed each other for their loved one's death, even though it wasn't really their fault. So the
She
wife, as you find out, the wife has a brain hemorrhage and dies,
Right.
and then
Mhm.
the husband finds her like dead in the apartment. So
Right.
you know, and that's not really a spoiler because that's the first 40 minutes of the film, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. But then also with that girl saying that, she killed her mom, she coulda
Yeah,
rescued her, but didn't find out until when they arrived at the spot, some girl named Sushi, it turned out to be her sister also,
yeah,
that she knew if she would rescue the mom, if the mom would die, the sister would die, and it's like, no wonder she's the way she is, just
yeah,
stoic, no emotion at all. No, none, none. Um, I think, you know, that was really captivating to me. Like, man, you love your sister, hated your mom. You didn't want to rescue your mom, so you sacrificed your sister to have your mom die or
yeah.
killed your mom. Wow,
Yeah, it was like
it
really
was.
interesting. I mean, also it was kind of because it's like she didn't do anything to help, but also it was like, what could she have done to help? Because it was a landslide, you know, where the
Mhm,
house got kind of, I guess, crushed and kind of fell down the hill, kind of stuff.
right,
So it's kind of like that weird thing is like, well, I get why you blame yourself, but also like, what could you have done? Like, was there anything she could have done? It's. I enjoyed that part because it was very. It could have gone either way, you know. It was like however you want to think about it. It's like, well, she could have got help and everyone would have been alive, or it's like there was nothing she could have done. But it's kind of like, you know, the same thing with the husband. He's like, oh, only if I came a little bit earlier, or only if I, you know, told her like, hey, stop cheating on me, you know, like
right,
she would still be here, you know. But you know, like you blame yourself, and I get that, but it's also like really not your fault. Like there's nothing you could have really done, you
right.
know. So, but yeah, it's just that was cool. But
Right.
yeah, yeah, the ending I can't tell because there's a bunch of other stuff that happens and blah blah blah. And she's grocery shopping the driver, and then she gets in his car. He's not in the car. There's a dog in the car.
All of a sudden, there's a dog. Yeah,
So there must be like another time jump or something. I'm not sure. And
that's what
then
that's what makes me
uh,
believe they got together.
yeah, I mean her hair was longer. She looked different. You know, like she looked more I don't say clean because it in the when she was just a driver, her hair would always be messy. She like wore a hat, you know, kind of dingy clothes, like you know,
Mhm.
nothing major. Here she was like a little bit more. Her hair was
Presentable.
done, you
Yeah.
know, like yeah. Maybe she had makeup on. I don't really know, but she was happy too, like the dog. You know, she was smiling, and
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if because that would be really weird because he was much older and she was 23 and he was
40,
did they say
47, 46. Because he said in 13 years I'll be 60.
okay? Yeah. So I mean, in real life, he's 50, so
Yeah.
it's not too far off. And in real life, she is 25 right now. So yeah, that would have been that's a little weird.
Mm,
But and that was one thing I liked about the movie was they had this connection, but it had nothing to do with like sexual or kind of stuff. It was like the opposite of his wife. His wife was
mhm,
like every guy she met, it seemed like according to him, like she wanted to have sex with, where for him it was more just the connection of being traumatized.
mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
I'm not sure.
No,
But
me neither.
three and a 3.5 hours
It
was
was sickening.
that's my biggest issue with this movie was so long. So long.
Yeah. Yeah, like I
You know,
said, they coulda cut a lot of parts out.
yeah. Because like legit the first 40 minutes is she cheated and she died. That's the whole first 40 minutes, and there was a bunch of other details in it, because like him with the glaucoma never mattered again in the film. So like, why?
Right.
You know, it wasn't even the reason why she was driving for him.
No,
You
it
know,
was the company that hired him to make this play because
yeah,
of there was a tragedy. One of the actors hit a person and died. So from now on, they got actual professional drivers. So therefore, if the professional driver hits somebody and kills somebody, the passenger, which would be the actor, director, whatever, or the director in this case,
mm,
would be free.
yeah,
They had nothing to do with it,
yeah,
so he
yeah.
could continue working.
We talk about foreshadowing because like they're like, oh, one of our actors killed somebody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, history repeats itself.
yeah.
Um, But yeah. You just want to get right into our ratings for this one.
Oh yeah.
So how we rate films is now, later, never. Now means drop everything you're doing, go watch it. Later is whenever you get a chance, where you're doing some dishes or you're bored on a weeknight. And then never means skip it. Don't waste your time. Just skip it. So what are you giving this one?
Well, I'm not giving it a now. That's there's not enough time unless it's an MCU movie, then okay. But no, not this one. Later, like you mentioned, like you got to do the dishes. You can't because it's in Japanese and you need to read the subtitles. So I'm gonna go with never, due to the fact that even though it had a nice storyline, somewhat of a storyline, but it was way too long, and there was a lot of caption to read. If you miss something, it's hard to catch up. Um, yeah, I mean, I can't say later. I have to say never.
Uh,
If we weren't doing this, I would never have seen this movie. It would have
Same,
never crossed my mind.
same. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these Oscar movies that I would have never have watched.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But I mean, for me, I think I'm gonna give this one a later. Because I could, if you're not doing anything and it's like a Friday night, it's raining out, and you want to watch like something with a pretty good story.
You're
Yeah,
you're if you're gonna watch this on a Friday night and it's raining out, you're boring. You need a life. You can do something much better for 3 hours. Play
we're
Monopoly by yourself. I don't
oh
care.
god, no. No, because I thought the story was good. I thought the story was pretty cool because it had a little bit of the twist where the guy she was having the affair with, like, knew the rest of this story that the wife was telling, which also that was very disturbing. Like, she would get off by like telling the story, and that's how it kind of starts off the film, with a few of the sex scenes is like she's
Mhm.
like saying this weird story, and I'm like, that's so weird.
Yeah, that story is
Yeah,
I guarantee you that story is an Easter egg somewhere.
yeah. Well, it's
And
her. It's her, and the guy, the apartment that
The
belongs to
burglar?
is the husband. No,
Oh.
is the husband, and the burglar is probably, I don't know, could be all the men she's cheating on, their dead
Mhm.
child, But it was just like, her going and doing stuff, behind his back, and then like he finds out, but yet he still acts super cool,
Yeah.
like nothing ever happened. So it was just it was a metaphor for their relationship, which,
Yeah.
but it was okay. I mean, I think especially if you're into like artsy fartsy movies, you'll definitely like this one for sure. But I thought the story was pretty good. It's worth a watch just whenever you're bored at home. You know,
Yeah. Watch
yeah.
NASCAR. That's probably more entertaining for 3 hours.
Watch cars drive in circles.
They basically it, yes.
I mean, both have a lot of driving in it, so
Oh, tons,
yeah. But I don't
tons.
know. I think I had a pretty good movie, or a pretty good story. It is projected to win a lot of Oscars, supposedly. From a lot of the rankings from other people, this is like definitely in the top 2 to 3 movies that might win, which is
Mhm.
kind of crazy. But yeah, so, and then another extra little thing that we do is we rank the movies that we watched so far. So far we saw Belfast, we saw Coda, and we saw
Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley. Now this is the 4th one. What's your ranking now between all 4 of them?
I have Coda on 4, Belfast 7, Nightmare Alley 8. Drive My Car is gonna have to be down there. I like maybe 9 because I don't know what's 10. I mean, I'm thinking of putting it at 10, but Nightmare Alley is give it a run for its money for number 10 slot. But right now it's at 8 because we got other movies to watch.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think, yeah, for me, yeah, Coda was definitely the best one we've seen so far.
so far, yes.
I think I really enjoyed that one much. I know you did not like Nightmare Alley, and I loved Nightmare Alley.
No,
Um,
that was another long one.
yeah. And then Belfast was kind of just average, you know. And then so you're putting this one down at the bottom
Yeah,
as
I'm
of
putting
right
it number
now,
9. Number 9.
as of right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Drive My
yeah.
Car.
I wouldn't
Might
say.
be
I mean, I don't know about rank because I haven't seen any of the other movies.
yeah, neither have
I haven't
I.
seen all of them yet.
Right.
Obviously, but I'll tell you right now, there's a movie that me and Will already watched, West Side Story, and I don't want to give too much away, but I thought this was better than West Side Story. So
Oh my god.
yeah, so
My Friday nights are to be doomed with these movies.
I
Right now I'm like in 20, 30 minutes in with Licorice Pizza.
mm,
So
yeah,
that's pretty cool. I'm liking that one so far. You
yeah.
never know.
So that's the next 2 we're gonna do is Licorice Pizza and King Richard.
King
That's
Richard.
that's on and then we're gonna save the ones that we already reviewed with me and Will. Dune, Don't Look Up, and West Side Story towards the back end of it because we already got me and Will's
Yeah.
thought on it. So now we're gonna be at your thoughts on those
I think I
with
was
the
in it with
Oscar
you
stuff.
guys. I believe I was in
With,
it with you. With Don't Look Up.
oh yeah, you were. Oh crap.
You remember when they show Leonardo DiCaprio grabbing his side? I'm like, yeah, that's me after a flight of stairs. Already
Yeah, that's
got
right.
that pain in the ribs. You're like, oh shit, that hurts.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all
So
right,
we'll save those towards later, but
yes,
we got a couple
yes.
more weeks, and then the Oscars. So that is it for this week. The contest should be coming out pretty soon. I'm working on it, and then we'll do that and finish up these Oscar movies. But that is it from us this week. That's Drive My Car. Leave a comment. Let us know if you watched it and what you thought about it. If you thought it was good, where you would rank it in all the Oscar nominees. And we are out of here. See
See
you
you
guys
later,
later.
guys.